Netanyahu returns with a boost from far right. Here you go. Israel news. I'm going to cover it for like 3.5 seconds.
Overseas, where former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appears to be on the brink of being the current prime minister again. Once again, his right-wing coalition has the most votes as of now after Israel's 5th election in 4 years. A little refresher on Netanyahu. He was forced to step down last year amid corruption charges, which, by the way, he is still currently on trial for right now.
Well, it looks all but certain Benjamin Netanyahu will make an extraordinary comeback from the political wilderness. But as you say, his return is being directly tied to the rise of his allies, Israel's extreme right and ultra-Orthodox political parties. For the first time ever, the far right have won the 3rd largest number of seats in Israel's parliament. One of the main parties, known as the Jewish Power Party, is led by Itamar Ben-Gvir. His rhetoric is stridently anti-Palestinian. He suggested imposing the death penalty on Palestinians convicted on attacks on Jewish people.
Israel literally was like, let's still continue being as violent as possible to the Palestinians, but like, let's spruce it up a little bit, right? Let's be like, let's dial it back from like 100 to 99.9. I mean, in that process, they still murdered a beloved Al Jazeera journalist. Like, kind of forgot about that. They're still beating the shit out of people. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing all this stuff. And the Israeli citizens were like, nah. The Israeli citizens were like, nope, that's too much. We're giving them too much. We're giving them too much. We got to go back to being worse. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's just the far right is rising all around. Israel's no different. Let's look at a little bit more into Ben-Gvir, though, who is a fucking
another round of elections, another
demon.
set of even crazier, even more extreme candidates. And no, I'm not talking about next week's midterms here in the United States. I'm talking Israel, where they just had their 5th parliamentary elections in less than 4 years. And this guy, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and his party of far-right extremists and racists, as even the pro-Israel group AIPAC has acknowledged they are, look set to make major gains in the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. There's even talk of Ben-Gvir becoming Homeland Security Minister in a new Benjamin Netanyahu-led Israeli coalition government.
It's so funny when, like, Americans don't understand how, like, Israel's racism meter is dialed up to, like, 700 times. Because, like, for you just look at Israel and you're like, oh, what? There's, like, you know, some gay people there, nice beaches, they're just having fun. Like, because American media never covers the absolute fascist psychopathy that goes on in the Knesset. That is just a part of permanent existence in Israel. Okay? That, like, this sort of shit. I mean, this sort of shit's, like, too much even for Israel. Okay? Which is saying something because, again, Israel actively doing occupation, actively doing, colonial violence, actively maintaining an apartheid state. Why don't we stop them? Wait, what? They're killing Palestinians. Why the fuck would America stop that? What? America loves Israel's operations in the Middle East. What the fuck are you talking about? Because the victims in this circumstance are brown people. Okay, the victims of this circumstance are Muslims, they're Palestinians, they have no rights, they have no liberty, they have no one in their corner. No one. All the fucking dogs that run the Gulf states have already backed the American government and backed Israel. That's what they are. They're fucking dogs, okay? From 17 and serving the Israeli military is mandatory for about 3 years. They start drafting you at 18 and you really can't do anything about it. Even if you object to occupation and conscientiously object serving, basically doing war crimes for 3 years, they put you in jail for at least a year as a tactic to insert fear. Yeah. My favorite Taylor Swift account quite literally went to jail for being a conscientious objector. But you understand this hate didn't grow out of nowhere. Yeah, motherfucker, I know the long history of Israel's colonial actions backed by and promoted by other colonial powers like, England, the British Empire. It's called the Nakba. That's where the resentments began. And that was the first strike, I would say. Or you can go before the Nakba as well. But the Nakba was the first big blow, 1948. Purging the fucking country of Palestinians and then taking their fucking houses. This goes way back before the first Nakba. I know, but that is like the most permanent damage.
Ben-Gvir came to fame in Israel as a mere 19-year-old back in 1995 in the wake of the Oslo Peace Accords, when he appeared on television holding a Cadillac emblem that he claimed to have ripped from then Prime Minister and Israeli peacemaker Yitzhak Rabin's car. "We got the car," he said. "We'll get to Rabin too." Rabin was assassinated by
Well, they did get to him. They did.
a far-right Jewish extremist just a few weeks later. Ben-Gvir has since said he meant only to shout at Rabin. He was so extreme, Itamar Ben-Gvir, that he was exempted from Israeli military service because they were worried about his far-right views.
Wait, is that a thing they do anymore? I would put this in this is when Israel was like acting like they gave a shit about a two-state solution era. Shouts out to Bibi Netanyahu, by the way, for quite literally just going, fuck that shit. I remember a time and place where the Israeli government would say, oh man, they're bulldozing in occupied territories in the West Bank. They're bulldozing places. Oh, fuck. I guess don't do that. Don't do that. We won't give you military support if you do that. That is long gone, baby. 20 fucking years.
As one Israeli news website points out, in his job as a lawyer, Ben-Gvir has represented numerous Jewish Israelis accused of conducting violent attacks against Palestinians, including the convicted murderer of the Dawabshe family who were burned in their home. Over the last 30 years, Ben-Gvir himself has faced over 50 criminal charges and been convicted on 12 of them, including racist incitement and support of a terrorist organization, two charges that are rarely pursued against Jews in Israel.
The fact that Ben-Gvir was not drafted due to his extreme beliefs makes total sense once you consider that a huge chunk of the soldiers voted for him. That's what I'm saying. Like, back then, in 1995, they were like, oh, man, you're too extreme. Now I feel like now it's like the way Israel at least operated, okay, the way Israel, like, behaved and conducted itself in 1995 is very different than Israel now. Super brazen. Super out there, super fucking bloodthirsty, super fascist, don't give a fuck, out and about, straight up, destroyed all matter of leftist opposition in Israel, okay, completely. Now you have like a lighter genocidal liberal opposition to Netanyahu. You know, like, I'll tell you this much. Benny Gantz is the guy that was seen as the leader of the coalition that included even Arab parties in the Knesset, right? Last time around, they had Benny Gantz. That motherfucker's a military commander. He literally had war crimes when he was running. He promoted his war crimes when he was running for the position, bro. Oh, fuck. That's not the last time. That's 2 times ago. Oh, my God. Israel also happens to do fucking elections every week. So there's the other problem. Do you think Hamas is an actual threat to Palestine? What do you mean an actual threat to Palestine? Hamas is nothing. But unfortunately, when you have nothing, it's everything you have. Bro, have you seen what Gaza looks like? It is an open air prison, okay? Where, you know, a lot of the people are 14 years old. Some of the highest population density, never-ending bombing campaigns within Gaza. The fuck are they supposed to do? They have nothing. It's literally an open-air concentration camp. They have nothing. So they try to fight back. On the other side, in the Western Territory, in the West Bank, you have a complete feckless, neutered Palestinian leadership that almost all Palestinians universally agree sucks ass. And on the other side, you have people engaging in legitimate self-defense. Like, yeah, they're homophobic or whatever the fuck, right? They're fundamentalists. They are. But like, that's what happens when your life is shit. That's what happens when you have to fucking get bombed every week. And also, the invention of Hamas was also an Israeli invention. Hamas was seen as a fundamentalist counterweight to the socialist revolutionary Palestinian groups. That's the reason why it was funded by Mossad. Is this a biased take? Yes, bro, I'm biased. I am 100% a biased person on this matter. I'm biased. I'm biased towards Palestinian liberation. I'm biased towards Palestinian emancipation. When I see a statistic like 91% of teenagers living in the fucking Gaza Strip have PTSD as a consequence of endless bombing campaigns, I can't help but feel like the people doing those war crimes should be held accountable, but never will. When you have nothing, Hamas is the only thing you have that is like providing some semblance of retaliation to a country that took your territory, robbed you of your home, and is literally routinely bombing you. And they're doing this in the fucking West Bank too. Didn't the IDF also kill Turks trying to break? Yeah. Mavi Marmara. Yes. Israel is so brazen with its fucking war crimes that it straight up got away with murdering a bunch of Turkish people who were on a humanitarian mission, who pushed through the blockade to deliver food and aid to Gaza. And they fucking drop shipped into it with a helicopter and butchered every single humanitarian on that ship. And then they turned around and they were like, they had guns on the ship. They showed those guns. It's fucking knives. They put butter knives on there against the Israeli machine gun fire and the helicopter. Benjamin Netanyahu, not even in this last election cycle, but in general, over the course of the past fucking 20 years when he was in power, has turned Israel into somehow even more of a bloodthirsty nation. A nation that was built, most nations are built on bloodshed. Let's be fucking real, right? But Israel's development is so recent, and Israel's development is such an obvious fuck you to everyone else that was living in that region, where, like, obviously the last imperial superpower decided to, as it was getting out of the fucking way of the next imperial superpower, decided to do something that was immensely brutal and unjustifiable to the people that were living in an area. First, they went to the landowners and said, hey, we're going to buy these lands off of you, okay? And you're just going to do mass evictions. Then, that wasn't enough. Then they went directly to the fucking homes and killed people. And to this fucking day, they say, we don't know the exact numbers of people that just, relocated on their own volition. I'm not going to lie. I've been covering this shit for my entire political commentary career. And up until the last lawn mowing operation, that's what they call it, cutting the grass, when they go into fucking Gaza and they bomb it. Just to keep them down a little bit, just to help them recognize their place. Last time when this happened, even the internet was like, holy fuck, dude, this is unimaginable cruelty. That was the first time in my entire life, in my entire career of engaging in political commentary. This is the first time I ever saw widespread condemnation against Israel's unjustifiable and inhumane actions towards Palestinians. There are plenty of Jews that do not believe that the actions of Israel are justifiable. Not all Jews are Zionists. As a matter of fact, in the United States of America, there are significantly more evangelical Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists. Obviously, still, a lot of American Jews are pro-Israel, or there are plenty of American Jews, especially with Birthright and especially with Bibi Netanyahu and his connection to our wonderful home of our wonderful city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Why you got to bring that up? You don't claim him? Doesn't matter, bitch. Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu is from Philadelphia. Dude, I love, whenever I talk about like Benjamin Netanyahu or anything like Israel related, people just don't know anything about it. There's like Jewish Americans who are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they just don't know. Whenever I talk about like Benjamin Netanyahu, for example, is a Holocaust revisionist. People are like, what? No way. Yeah. Where did Benjamin Netanyahu spend his teenage years? In the Philadelphia suburbs, baby, when he attended and graduated from Cheltenham High School in Montgomery County. Moved from Israel to Cheltenham. His father moved from Israel to Cheltenham in 1963 to teach at the Dropsy College. In 1967, he served in the IDF elite unit. He returned to Israel to serve in the IDF's elite unit, where his brother died, but unfortunately he did not, because Israel has a policy where like two brothers cannot be on the same operation. Anyway, Netanyahu came back to the U.S. to study architecture and business administration at MIT. Then he got a job in Boston. But he went to Israel following the death of his eldest brother, who was killed in attempting to free hostages from the hijacked Air France airliner in Uganda.
See, back in the 1980s, when Rabbi Meir Kahane spoke in parliament, mainstream Israeli politicians were disgusted and walked out of the chamber. The major Israeli parties then united.
This is what I mean. This is what I was talking about. 1980s, 90s, like Israel was, of course, still very violent because it is its nation building project hinges on the extermination of the Palestinian people. So, of course, they were still automatically pretty fucking violent. It's like America. You know what I mean? It's identical. America has a lot of white supremacist values baked into its fundamentals. That history doesn't just go away. You can't just whitewash it. But at least on its face, despite the incredibly violent actions, they still made it seem like settler occupation, settler terrorism, you know, illegally going into fucking Palestinian territory and like building a house was something that they turned a blind eye to. Well, that's gone now. They're just very openly in favor of it.
Joe Biden stressed our shared values with Israel just last week while hosting the president of that country.
He ain't wrong when he says America and Israel have shared values. It's just that those values are fucking dog shit, okay? That's the point. Those values are brutality. Those values are endless occupation, an apartheid state. Those values are fucking anti-Muslim existence, okay? The eradication of Muslims. Those are the fucking U.S. virtues. Those are the U.S. values that are identical.
1,000 times in my career, the Ironclad Commitment of the United States has to Israel based on our principles, our ideas, our values. They're the same values.
Well, Itamar Ben-Gvir's values are certainly not our values, American values, or at least...
Oh, come on, Mehdi. Stop. It is our values, brother. It's the same. I think if you are as critical as I am of the United States of America, you understand exactly where we're coming from with our allegiance and seemingly, undying loyalty to Israel. It's the same. We're brothers in bond. We're brothers in blood. We have the same enemies, okay? And that's it. And another country that both Israel and the United States supported that was also identical to our existence was apartheid South Africa. It's not a fucking, it's not a coincidence, okay? Like, why? Why were we so in favor of apartheid South Africa? Why was the State Department in favor of apartheid South Africa? It's the same shit. Those are our homies. They're doing the same shit we want to do. They're doing more of it. Apartheid, or Jim Crow South segregation, is simply a method to divide and conquer the working class at the behest of capitalists.